Hi, it's Davi here from at We Light Beans or at figure.8.energy, and today I'm gonna do some painting. In this moment, I'm gonna do a little painting. There's some 3D things that I could be doing, right? I could be really productive. What day is it? It's Saturday. I'm relocating tomorrow. I have some legal stuff to do, and I just don't have the motivation for it. And of course, anybody can say oh, I don't have the motivation for it, so I'm not gonna just do it anyways. But then it will put me in a really funky mood, and I don't like to exist that way. So I'm gonna do something that gives me energy, that allows me to use my energy in a way that produces more energy, I should say. That way, later, when I decide to do it, I'll have ample energy and I already feel like I've done something for myself. So, I'm going to do something that is not absolutely necessary or productive, but it makes me happy. It'll enhance my being on a daily because I'll be able to see it and, the end result. And I'm also doing it right now and it brings me joy. I think the last time I painted was almost a year ago. I painted this really beautiful portrait. I was very inspired by Alex Graham, the way that they use the primary colors, and I created a family auric painting, and the children's auras were a blend of the parents' auras, and it's so beautiful. I still have it somewhere. I just, don't have it displayed. It's not super relevant in my life, the painting, anymore, but whenever Ren is old enough, I'll give it to him. And so it feels nice. I went to the Dollar Tree, a $1.25 tree, and got some acrylic paint, and I'm painting some of my favorite things in nature. When I had a restaurant, I had a friend, Nico. For those of you from Jacksonville, you might know her. She's done a lot of really beautiful murals around town, and I believe she's in Miami now. And she did a giant spider wart on the side with a bee, and then next door to the restaurant, I was in the process of opening a vegan bakery and bodega, and had another lovely friend paint some wildflowers. Oh my goodness, why is her name escaping me? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry if you're watching this. Your face is in my head. I guess it's not the point right now. But she painted some Biden's alba, which is my favorite flower, by the way. Also known as Spanish needle and shepherd's purse. And these are ones that you can find in Northeast Florida. And then when I had the tiny home that I built, I painted giant spiderwort on it and giant Biden's alba. And now with this camper, I'm gonna paint some smaller ones. It's part of my silent protest as well, in advertising. It's hashtag save the weeds. There's probably not much on that actual hashtag, but whenever I do this sort of thing, being an activist for nature, that's what I think of. I think of that hashtag. And it's because, we're not really taught in our public schools about all of the medicine, all of the food that grows in our yards naturally. Instead, society advertises spraying Roundup on your dandelions, which, by the way, is a cleanser, major detoxifier. So something that can help your body rid of cancer, they're spraying something that gives your body cancer on it, and it's so confusing. It's so confusing. But it sends a clear message, a misleading message, but a message nonetheless. And so this is part of my anti-misleading information. I'll paint the really beautiful things that can grow in your yard naturally, that will be deemed as weeds. People will think they're so beautiful, and subconsciously they'll grow a liking to it, and then one day they'll realize, oh my goodness, this is growing in my yard. Maybe I shouldn't put weed killer on it. Maybe I shouldn't spray pesticides in my yard. Maybe I want to be able to eat the food that nature has given me. Or maybe it'll come to a point where we need to start eating what's already here because of food scarcity or because of financial scarcity, or I want to be connected with the earth. And I don't know, that's kind of background on one of the reasons why, besides the fact that they're so beautiful, So spiderwort, you could actually eat and cook like asparagus. It kind of looks grassy in its infancy. And if you let the grassiness grow a little bit more, it'll start to have these really beautiful flowers, and it has these bulbs on it too. So that's what I'm painting right now, the spiderwort. And then I'll definitely do the Biden's alba, which, if you allow that to grow, I would suggest putting it in an area where you want it to take over, or making sure that you do not allow the seeds to continue to spread, because this will take over everything. I think one plant has over 15,000 seeds, and the seeds can remain dormant for 5 years, or maybe it's the other way around, 5,000 and 15 years. Either way it goes, it's absolutely incredible. And it does take over. So just like make sure you snip the parts that have the seeds on them. But it is antiviral. And I actually had a tincture that I took a few days ago when I was trying to rid of whatever it is that my body was fighting off. I know it was, and I got confirmation from my guides that it was partial ascension symptoms and partial ridding of environmental pathogens. And I think when I mentioned before, going in between environments, the body needs to flush itself. Well, at least my body flushes itself. And one of the ways it does that is through cold-like symptoms, And, that's kind of what I want to talk about. Not the ascension symptoms or that stuff, but I want to talk about our guides and the way that they show up in our lives, and to remind you that you do have guides that are watching over you, that want to help, that are helping. It's just about our receptivity to the guidance that they're offering and recognizing it as well. One tricky thing about painting on campers and sheds and things is it's not like a completely flat surface. There's like some ridges, so I just have to be mindful of that. I know my painting's not going to be perfect. I'm okay with that because it's art. And it's all an expression anyways. So, yesterday, the video that I made, I touched on part of me tapping into my authenticity was to allow myself to unapologetically be connected to my guides and allow myself to visit them. And upon reflection, the place that they are, I feel like would be reminiscent of what people say heaven is. It is the next layer after this realm. It has a lot of clouds. It's blue, it's light. There's light bodies there. Our loved ones are there. The ones that choose to be. And they're all watching over us, right? So there's guides that are assigned to you, and they're assigned to other people as well. And they're watching what you're going through, and they're witnessing the suffering on earth, the suffering that you're going through. They're also witnessing the joys. They're there every step of the way. And because they're multidimensional beings, they're tapping into multiple people at once and operating on different timelines and all of these things that don't really matter to this conversation. But just as a reminder, they are tuning into you as they're tuning into their other assignments. And their goal is to help you. They want to make it easy. They want you to remember. They want you to not feel like you're alone. And there's a lot that they're up against. They're up against societal programming that help instill this belief that just because you can't see something, that they're not there. And if we're focusing on only seeing things to believe it, then of course you're not going to believe that you have guides. Most people are still in denial about ghosts, Even if they've had experiences themselves, they'll be in denial about it because it's deemed as spooky, scary. And so they watch what's going on. And they try to offer helping hands by maybe sending a message to you telepathically. Or they'll send numbers. You'll see like angel numbers, sequences 444, 111, 333, 1111, 555. Sometimes you can see them in chronological order, 456, 123, 234. You can see it on time, license plates, price tags, timestamps on videos. The list goes on, wherever you see numbers. And it's divine because you'll just happen to look at it. Like, you're not always looking at the clock, right? Hopefully. You don't have that type of anxiety. And when you happen to look at the clock, it happens to be this time. And in those moments, it's really important to go back to what were you thinking in that moment? Because it's a response. It could be an affirmation to that. It could be encouragement. And each number sequence means something different. And various people have their beliefs on the proper way to go about researching your angel numbers. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that there isn't a wrong way to do it. Do whatever you feel is intuitive to you, because your guides know what your habits are. They learn it. And so your experience is very much, and your messages, your guidance is very much catered towards you. There's some people who are like, oh no, in numerology this means this, and so it can only mean this, and so you must only go by this guide. And I had a book that sometimes I refer to. I used to refer to it heavily when I first started studying angel numbers. And then our technology advanced more, and now we can talk into our phones and ask us. And that's like some of the programs are still in my head. Like, I refer, whenever I see 444, I have this feeling of, oh, my ancestors are around me, or oh, my angels are around me, or my guides, like, they're present right now. They're like supporting me in this moment, whether it be for if I'm going through something hard and I just need to feel a bit connected, or if I'm about to make a decision and they're just like reminding me, like, oh, like, we're here. Anytime I see ones, it's a powerful affirmation, like, oh yeah, like, that's, you're on the right path. That this is absolutely like what you should be doing right now. 11/11, people make a wish on 11/11. And other times, because I see sequences daily, like the 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, stuff like that daily, and I almost always just ask my phone what it means, and it gives me a different answer sometimes, because there's several sources out there, right? And I believe that is exactly what it should be, because It's giving your guides other options. And our guides do have access to technology. They have access to so much in this realm. They have access to technology, and so they're able to put in queue the response that they want in order for you to get the message that they want to convey. The Arcturians, they're not in the Earth, the Cloud Kingdom, but the Arcturians, as an example, they specifically work through technology. I've had experiences with them where they've communicated with me very divinely and very eerily through it. But upon further communication with them, it was confirming that it was them and such. And maybe that's a story for another time, or maybe I'll tell you in here. I don't know. We'll try to see how it flows. But yeah, so don't be worried about that too much. All of those things are a hypothesis anyways. We're very science-based here in the West. And so that's a lot of what we experience. It's like people's hypothesis. And then we take other people's hypothesis as truth if it's been proven. But then it can be disproven? Is that a word? It can be disproven as well. If somebody disproves it, if somebody challenges it. And sometimes we just take things as truth because they're already there. And, sometimes it's just easier that way. But regardless, if it feels intuitive to you to go to a book, do that. If it feels intuitive to you to look it up on your phone, use a search engine or use Siri. Just do whatever once, because our guides are just trying to communicate with you, and then they'll recognize your pattern, what you got to do, and then they'll enact through that. So that's one way they do it. They do it through numbers. Another way that they communicate through us is by communicating through other people, sending messengers of sort, people who are just kind of in the flow of it. Oftentimes people will feel called to do something intuitively and they don't really question it, they just do it, and it happens to be a divine message for you. They're just the messenger, and sometimes you can just be the messenger. So it's it is important to just act on those calls. And some other ways we have animal guides. So these spirit animals, I'm sure y'all have heard about spirit animals. Maybe you'll have a dream and the animal will be there, or you'll just an animal will just appear when you're out and about, or whether that is in a living form or as a symbol on some sort of object. And so that could be a message to you as well. And how it's a message to you and not just I don't want you to go to a store and be like, oh my goodness, I'm seeing so many cat things, so it must mean my guides are talking to me. Yeah, or it could be Halloween and there's a bunch of black cats around. But if you do have something heavy on your mind, then it's quite possible that they are speaking to you. If a cat crosses your path, maybe that's something to look into. And when people say oh, a black cat crosses your path, it's bad luck, blah 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 blah, don't worry about those superstitions, just look it up. sometimes even random things will happen. You can take that as a sign. Yesterday, I had something on my mind, and I was driving, and I look at the car in front of me, and I think that it says a word. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I wonder what that means. And upon getting closer, I look at the first part, and it's the abbreviation of somebody's name. I just sat with it. A moment later, that person FaceTimed me. And so then it was really like, oh, my guide's really letting me know that incoming, this person is about to reach out to me. Or maybe sometimes it's somebody's thinking of us. That's another way to communicate. Not necessarily your guide's talking to you, but another person's thinking about you or talking about you. Is if you suddenly think about them in a random moment. Sometimes that happens with parents or best friends, lovers, etc. You'll just happen to think of them and they'll call you or they'll text you. Or the message the other day and hey, you're on my mind. And you're like, wow, you're on my mind. And it's always divine when that happens. Something else I wanted to touch on is, and this just happened the week that the hurricane went through North Carolina. And so I don't know what the correlation is with that, but that just, if it's even corresponds with it at all. But in the Cloud Kingdom, it seems to be a lot of mature guides. It did for the longest time. Or it was just spirits that passed through and chose to come here and put a segment of their existence into service in this way. And they've been training and everything, and they're doing excellent. Oh my goodness. And they're getting to know y'all. But recently, younger spirits have come in. They pass through the portal children's spirits. And it's a little confusing to try to rationalize because, in your light body, you would think that, you're just a light body. But they're still in their adolescence. And I think what happened is they were children that passed away, and they all came to the Cloud Kingdom and kept some of their adolescent mind, and I believe they're here to guide the youth because they will be able to resonate with them on a different level, having that fresh perspective of that age demographic. So they're there too. It's not just you that is getting guidance, it's also the children. And for those of you that have children in your life in some way, I want you to see the children. No. Don't write them off and say that something is their imagination, because it could be. And if it is, let them have their imagination. But also, it could not be. And it's really important for them to stay connected, because we don't need any more fragmented beings. There's so many of us who grew up being invalidated, and because of that, we fragmented ourselves and, had to go through all of this healing just to come back to ourselves. And we don't need to continue those cycles. We want what's best for everyone, this continued evolution. And right now, the children that have been coming in, I believe they said over the past Earth years, from the past 20 years, are a different version of human. They're like a different breed altogether. And they are more intuitive. They're less fragmented. And of course, there's things in our environment that can enable them to be fragmented, like giving them a bunch of processed foods and refined sugars and artificial colors and flavors, and not giving them actual nutrients, just giving them like vitamins to supplement what they're not getting from their food. Your children can't eat vegetables. They can't eat fruit. It's a learned behavior to not like it, except for cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables have an enzyme in them that smell extremely horrid and strong to children under the age of 5. FYI. But, just give them a chance. Or hide the veggies in their food. There's a lot of people who, like pasta is a popular thing in America, so like they blend up vegetables and put it in the pasta sauce, or do like veggies and dip, whatever. Just give them some high vibrating food so they can stay on par and not have to struggle, not have to be trapped in their ailments, trapped in their bodies, not able to function and really show up in the way that they're meant to. This is part of the war on humanity, the war on our sovereignty. They're attacking our children by making the parents have to work so much and prioritize all these other things, and giving us convenient foods that are cheaper than health foods, and providing it in the school systems, like all this junk. They feed the mind junk, they feed the body junk, and how do you expect the children to focus in school? One, it's probably boring having to sit. I don't want to rage on the school system right now, but talking about food, at least, I think we can all agree with that. The food is not good. It's not conducive to helping them retain information. It's just giving them substance and flavor, and maybe you're hyping them up with a little bit of sugar in the chocolate milks, but then there's all these hormones in it, and it's from these cows are eating genetically modified things, and they're tortured, and all the energy's going into it, and I could go on and on with all that stuff. But my main point is, it's really beautiful that in the cloud kingdom now there are beings designated just to the children, because before all of the beings were just they've been working so hard. There's so many more people becoming receptive now, or there's so many people that they really want to be receptive because they have such beautiful potential and ability to do certain things if they could just not be distracted. So they're working on it. What's interesting is sometimes I listen to these things and it talks about how in other realms they don't really feel all of the emotions that humans feel, but frustration, these light beings, they do feel frustration. There's one woman I was visiting, and they were just all really frustrated, and I was just whoa, what's this energy for? And it's because they weren't sure that they could actually do it, because the messages weren't getting across. And so that's why they use so many different avenues to try to communicate to y'all. And if y'all just open yourself up to the possibility that you're not alone and that there are beings that are trying to help you and guide you, be so much better for it. It'll be so much better. Your journeys will be so much easier. You'll feel so connected. And the manifestations will start happening on a more rapid basis, and I'm praying that all of your manifestations are source aligned and light intentioned, because those are the ones that are going to get the most momentum anyways, because at least these guides, that's what they are supporting. They're supporting the evolution of humans, and they also want the elevation of frequencies as well, because these patterns have got to stop. We're so far behind, and that it's not even a race. It doesn't matter about all that. It's just the suffering we all can agree is unnecessary. So unnecessary. So I just want y'all to be open to the possibility that you're not alone, and that there are beings that are trying to help. Just be open, receptive to it. Something else you could do is to open up a journal and start channeling. Well, what's channeling? I can't do that. Yeah, you can. Just start writing. Just write whatever is on your mind. And the thoughts will just keep coming and coming. And sometimes they might seem so random, but it's practice. You just keep doing it. Keep practicing. And it gets easier and easier. It's one way to do it, and it's all being written down. Then some other ways are just to start meditating. Meditation is beautiful for all that. This will need another coat on all of these. Probably 2 coats. Confirmation burp. And yeah, pretty soon you won't even need to use a journal. You'll just trust what's coming in, and you'll just start saying what's on your mind. This is actually something that I didn't realize I was doing for a long time. Anytime I'd have to do a speech or some sort of talk, I would look at my notes and say what I wanted to say, see what I wanted to say, and then just go up there and wing it. I think that's the term we use. And so I'd find myself going up and talking, and pretty soon I'm just watching myself talk. I'm dissociating, and there's a bird's eye perspective that I have. I'm watching myself talk, and all of these things are just coming through me, and then I'm watching the audience, whether it's a classroom or a group of people, and I'm seeing their reactions, and sometimes I'm able to go back and give different input, and it's sort of like operating my human vessel like a puppet of sorts. And that's because I was channeling from my higher self. my higher self is orchestrating this whole thing. It knows the notes, the certain topics that I want to touch on, and then it fills in things from here. And this is a tactic that I use whenever I'm doing meditations too. I do channel directly from source as well, but my higher self works with it, and so I'll gauge the energy of the collective energy of the people in the space, and sometimes I'll just do it to individuals that have like a more dominant energy because they'll be affecting the collective. But I'll tune in to that, and then whatever guidance I'm giving, it'll be for them. And this will happen with multiple beings in the segment. The last larger collective one I did was at the Traveling Caravan Retreat, the one I did actually here on this farm. And when I get into that state, when I come back into my body, I don't have much recollection of like what just happened. I might remember certain things, but I don't remember much. And so I was talking to a few people, and they were talking about their experiences, and they asked me a question about like, what did I do? And I'm just like, I have no idea what they're talking about, right? But I'm listening to them, and the other person that was present, they chimed in. They're like, oh yeah, like I felt that too, and this is what I was doing when I felt that. She was doing Reiki on somebody, and they were all saying like, yeah, it was just a huge confirmation, like you were speaking directly to me. And I was just thinking, it's like, yeah, that's probably what was happening. Like in that moment, I picked up on their energy, and I knew what guidance that they needed come through me, specifically for them. That's why I always say, like, take what resonates and leave what doesn't, because there might be something that does resonate and it's for you. And anyways, that's anytime I'm doing meditations, and if you have the opportunity to be a part of that, whether I'm doing them online or I'm doing it with you in person, remain open and receptive, because your guides can speak through me too. I mean, they can speak through anybody, speak through others. They channel a message for you, but you have to be open to the possibility of that. Like, we just have your best interests in mind. We want to help. And I hope that these messages are helping you. If you're tuning into the messages that I've been giving recently, I hope that some of them resonate with you, and that they help you evolve into a greater version of yourself, or a more receptive version of yourself, a more connected version of yourself. Anyways, I'm gonna work on this a little bit more while Rian's asleep. You can see it so far, it's kind of not that great, but I mean, it's beautiful, and it'll get better as well, but a little bit of spider work. All right, I love you guys. Bye.